From punching an old man in the head, to assaulting a woman, to now, allegedly, kicking fighters off The Ultimate Fighter 32, Conor McGregor is back at it again. But UFC President Dana White isn't thinking about how much control the Irishman's been given as a coach on TUF Season 31. Conor is set to coach opposite Michael Chandler, who's a favorite among UFC fans because of how he enjoys putting on a show each and every time he finds himself standing in the octagon. There's even a chance that Michael and McGregor will face each other in the octagon sometime later this year, though one of those UFC stars and coaches for The Ultimate Fighter Season 31 is already up to no good. Gilbert Burns, a fighter in the UFC welterweight division, has been accusing McGregor of having kicked his teammate off. The teammate in question is Loik Radchabov, and he might not get a shot at the 31st season of the TV series, since, according to Burns, Conor has been kicking fighters off and replacing them with his own hand-picked fighters. But Gilbert isn't alone in this matter. Daniel Rubenstein has also been accusing the Irish UFC star of having 3 of his fighters removed from this installment of the UFC's reality TV series. Also, he can get his own people in instead. So Mitch Ramirez, Ken Cross, and Brandon Jerkins won't be in the show this season. UFC President Dana White spoke about the rumors surrounding the UFC legend at the post-match press conference at UFC Vegas 70, where he talked about how he doesn't know anything about all of this, and also asked who gives a White did end up admitting that a few of McGregor's requests were fulfilled, but he followed up by talking about how people have been expecting him to coach and be committed to it, especially when he lives all the way in Ireland. Dana White said that Conor is going to end up getting a few of the things that he wants, considering everything he mentioned.
You know, it's easy to get into this sport now, right? We're breaking records at Madison Square Garden. The numbers are through the roof. Everything's crazy. They were doing this at a time where it didn't look good and it didn't look like the money was going to come back to them, yet they kept pumping money in.
So it looks like Conor is allowed to do pretty much whatever he wants, for now, which is great for him. For others though, maybe not the best, I can't lie. Though Dana did say that even if some fighters do get kicked off the show, the UFC has something else in store for them instead. He talked about how none of the fighters were going to lose any opportunities if they even got smudged off the show. White said that all of these guys will be taken care of by the promotion, and that they don't need to worry about any chances being lost on them. Dana and the UFC will handle it. Now, I don't know precisely what he means by that, since he didn't go into detail, but as far as speculation goes, it could potentially be either one of these next 2 things. The fighters that Conor kicks off The Ultimate Fighter 31 will either be given a spot on Dana White's Contender Series, or they'll end up getting a fight on a UFC card sometime later. It's good to know that the UFC plans on taking care of all the fighters that the Notorious One has been kicking off the series, or at the very least, the promotion claims to.
Still obviously very much in the mix, and but he's going through some stuff right now that he's dealing with. The timing just didn't work for him.
It still remains to be seen what they actually have planned for these guys. It's all just speculation at the time being. As of now, the fighters that got kicked off by Conor probably just feel let down and frustrated. Gilbert Burns even put out a tweet regarding his teammate, Loik Radchabov, not being included in the TV series. Burns, in his tweet, brought the issue to light as he talked about how Loik is not only his teammate, but also someone accomplished in MMA. He's even been a 2-time PFL finalist. Gilbert shed some light on all of the hard work that Radchabov has been putting in to finally get a well-deserved spot on The Ultimate Fighter 31. The man was even in Vegas waiting for the show to kick off. But then he got kicked off by Coach McGregor himself instead, who Burns also claimed brought in his own guys to fill the gaps. The Irishman actually put out a tweet in response to these accusations, a tweet that Conor ended up deleting later for some reason. Some people even reposted his tweet later to call him out using screenshots they'd taken of the tweet itself. Regardless though, in his deleted tweet, the Notorious One spoke about how he only knows one fighter on the show right now, and that he's the only one he added. McGregor emphasized that he didn't make any request of anyone or ask for anything, and he said that he certainly didn't have anyone removed. Though even if he did end up changing the lineup a little for his own people, UFC President Dana White doesn't seem to care that much about it.
But somebody was saying, well, what's the UFC going to do? We let these guys know not to bet on fights. Do you know what the outcome of this is? Like, if I penalize them, you get cut.
White detailed that the roster for the UFC is constantly in a state of flux anyways. He said the promotion always brings back fighters who've competed on TUF previously, or if they didn't get a contract right away, it comes back to them eventually. The UFC president doesn't have any details to give regarding the fighters who won't end up getting a chance to participate on TUF 31, but certainly no opportunity is lost for anyone in the eyes of White, though filming for The Ultimate Fighter 31 has already gone underway.
You know, and you know what? Think about this. The UFC has been this rocket ship of success since 2005, right? The first time the hits the fan and things get hard, and you know, probably the scariest thing we've ever been through in our lifetime.
Dana White revealed that some of the fights had been done and dusted. Leading up to the show's debut in May, the UFC president mentioned that this season of the Ultimate Fighter series has been going pretty well so far, with their first 3 fights already taken care of. He then talked about how he was speaking with Michael Chandler recently, who, as of late, had an epiphany. Chandler initially thought that he would just come on as a coach and follow through with the motions and do whatever he was told to, but to his surprise, things turned out very different than what he expected. Coach Chandler talked to Dana White about how he's shocked by just how invested he's become in all of this and in his fighters. He's absolutely blown away by how much he started to care for these guys. Looks like Michael Chandler is really feeling his role as coach at The Ultimate Fighter 31. White claims that this exact same thing ends up happening every single season of the show. He also added that it's really fascinating and fun that they do this every single year without fail.
When we sold, everybody was talking about how Ari overpaid for it and what a stupid move, blah, blah, blah. And then the thing's just gone like this since then, too. Yeah. So we always believed that this thing could be big if we did it the right way and it was done the right way. The question is always about the timing.
And spoke about how different everything is each season. He also mentioned how invested the coaches become in their guys each year. White is definitely happy to be working on TUF 31. He says it's fun, and it sure looks like it. Well, except maybe for some of the few fighters that the Irish UFC star has kicked off to make room for his own guys. They've only gotten done with the first 3 fights for now, and Conor is already up to no good and making headlines. Though, as we know, McGregor has been denying all claims and accusations against him of kicking off fighters to make space for his own people. In a tweet, McGregor talked about how he didn't kick anyone out and that he himself is just trying to get, quote, back in the mix. He ended his tweet with, "So F off, classic McGregor." So it looks like the fighters that got kicked off don't need to worry too much, even though I get why something like this happening to them would frustrate and infuriate them. Hopefully, all the fighters get their due opportunity soon. This has been McGregor kicking fighters off The Ultimate Fighter 31 and Dana White's comments on it.